Welcome to the world of stories. This is HRB Verse, where every story is real, heartfelt, and unforgettable. Subscribe now and become part of a journey you'll never forget. My sister borrowed $2,500, my father took $800, and my entire family traveled first class, all on my expense. This pushed me to book a solo getaway and permanently sever ties with them. For 6 agonizing years, they exploited me as their personal bank. My liberation began when I dispatched an itemized bill, froze all their access to my credit, and even got my father terminated by sending proof to his HR department. This is how my transformation commenced. My mother casually stated that each flight would cost a hefty $1,200. If you can't afford it, she advised, then simply stay behind. I merely nodded, and then my phone buzzed with an alarming notification. My credit card had been charged for 4 business class tickets, none of them for me. I quickly accessed my banking application, initiated a dispute for all the charges, and then promptly locked the account. Later at the airport check-in, my sister messaged me, "Why hasn't anything been paid for?" I responded with a deliberate echo of my mother's earlier words. "What you said." I had indeed stayed behind, but not as they envisioned. I had meticulously planned my own solitary retreat. My father appeared at my doorstep later that day, but I was not there to meet him. "Flights are $1,200 apiece," my mother had informed me. "If you can't afford it, stay behind." I didn't argue. I simply nodded and offered a strained smile, pretending it didn't wound me, pretending it wasn't the 6th time in 2 years that my own family had implied I was only welcome if I paid for the privilege. She had uttered those words indifferently over speakerphone, while I was still in my hospital scrubs, covered in sweat after a grueling 12-hour shift. I had just completed back-to-back night shifts, striving to cover my rent and diligently pay off my college debts. My mother, father, sister Lyra, and her husband Cashin were all making arrangements to visit Maui. A week-long family excursion, complete with business class accommodations. "You know, we deserve this," she added, her voice laced with self-pity. "It's been a tough year for everyone, as if I weren't included in that everyone. As if I hadn't lent Lyra $2,500 when Cashin lost his sales position, or covered Dad's medical deductible when his blood pressure soared and he refused to visit urgent care due to the expense. I told her it was perfectly fine, and I would gladly stay behind. I then returned to the unpleasant task of cleaning up an intoxicated patient's vomit, a patient who had attempted to assault me after I suggested he lie down. Soon after, a notification pinged on my phone, a charge from my credit card application for business class tickets, $1,200 each. My card, yet none of the names matched mine. I opened the application. Passenger names: Caleb B., Cashin B., and Sandra M., Mom, William M., Dad. No Silas M., no me. I stared at the screen for a full minute, my fingers growing cold, my heart pounding. They had used my credit card again without a single word of permission or warning, assuming I would cover it as I always had. I wasn't even getting a window seat. I typed, "Dispute all," then I locked the account. An hour later, as I was brushing my teeth, my phone chimed again. Lyra's text, "Why is nothing paid for? We're at check-in." I removed the toothbrush from my mouth, read the message, and took a deep, steady breath. Then I typed my reply. "What you said?" I stayed behind, which was true. I remained behind, but not in the manner they anticipated. I meticulously arranged my own retreat to a destination warmer and quieter, free from family obligations, devoid of duties, and unburdened by guilt. My phone vibrated once more, a call from Dad. I didn't answer. He appeared at my apartment, knocking as if he held the deed. I did not open the door. It hadn't merely started with the tickets. That was simply the final affront atop a mountain of disregarded boundaries and financial penalties. It truly began when I was 22, and Lyra took my credit card to purchase a dress for her engagement party. A $600 temporary emergency, she had rationalized, because you work in healthcare and don't even dress up, so it's not like you'll notice. She promised to repay me by the month's end. She never did. Then Dad asked me to co-sign a loan so they could renovate their kitchen. "It's not even for us," he explained. "It's for resale value. One day you'll inherit it." Spoiler alert. The house was refinanced yet again. The proceeds funneled into bailing out Cashin's second failed business venture. I was working 50-plus hour weeks, barely keeping my head above water, yet somehow I remained the family's financial lifeline. The dependable one, the nurse with a secure job, the unmarried one without children, the one who should contribute since family members help one another. However, it was never a reciprocal arrangement. When I contracted pneumonia from working during flu season and asked Mom to bring me soup, she replied, "I can't, sweetheart. I promised Lyra I'd watch the kids while she gets her nails done, you understand?" I always did. Cashin damaged my car, which I had lent him while mine was in the shop, and my insurance premium doubled. He offered no apology, merely shrugged and stated, "That's what insurance is for, right?" They drained me slowly, drip by drip, until I felt nothing, like a frog gradually brought to a boil. I was that frog. The true turning point, the actual ignition, came when I was finishing a night shift and Lyra texted, "Can you move your payday up? Mom wants to book hotels and we're short." What payday? I thought. I wasn't even invited. I responded, "Short for what?" She sent a gif of hula dancers and the text, "Family trip desert island hibiscus woman dancing light skin tone." I called Mom. "Lyra said you needed help with hotels," I inquired, attempting to maintain a neutral tone. "Oh, sweetie, don't worry about that," she said. "Everything's already booked. We just needed a bit of a cushion to upgrade to business class. You know how bad Cashin's knees are." "Excuse me," I interjected. "You're asking me to pay for an upgrade on a trip I'm not even taking." Silence. Then her tone shifted. "Look, Silas, if you wanted to come, you could have said something. But the flights are $1,200 each. If you can't afford that, then maybe it's best you sit this one out. No hard feelings." She uttered it as if I were a burden, as if my very presence impeded their luxurious agenda. I did not argue. I simply hung up softly, calm, and utterly numb. Then came the notification. My card was charged for 4 business class tickets. That's when the numbness dissipated, all the sacrifices. I had canceled vacations, skipped dinners, and worked countless extra shifts. For what? So they could enjoy themselves while I rationed my medications and ate instant ramen 3 times a week. I sat at my desk, staring at a spreadsheet of my finances. I had $327 in checking and $14,200 in student loans. My car was 6 years old with 119,000 miles on it. I hadn't taken a vacation since college. Meanwhile, Cashin was sipping first-class champagne with my name on the receipt. And Lyra had the audacity to text me from the check-in line, "Why is nothing paid for?" The facade shattered. This was their true nature. They were authentic to themselves. I wasn't family, I was a financier. I simply replied, "What you said." I remained behind. Then I did something I never thought possible. I created a travel itinerary and booked my own journey. Nothing extravagant, but it was exclusively mine. Everything was mine. No obligations, no guilt. Dad appeared at my door like a scene from a Netflix thriller. Still in his Hawaiian shirt, he stood outside my apartment, his expression oscillating between confusion, fury, and entitlement. He knocked. I didn't move. He knocked again, louder this time. "Silas, open the door, we need to talk." I did not. He remained there for 7 minutes, I timed it. Then he left. That evening, I received a voicemail from Mom. "You really hurt your father today. He flew back early just to speak to you, after everything we've done for you." "Done for me?" I saved the message. Not for sentimental value, but for evidence. I was done with their gaslighting. Lyra tried calling 5 times before sending this gem. "Grow up. You can't punish the whole family over one misunderstanding." Misunderstanding. They had exploited, robbed, and mocked me. And now that I had finally said no, I was the villain. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was simply finished. They mistook my stillness for submission, believing that if they hammered hard and long enough, I would yield as I always had. But I had changed. Dad returned again, this time with Mom. Same location, same apartment hallway, and the same weary manipulation etched on their faces. I did not open the door. Lyra began sending texts that night. "You are being completely unfair. We needed that upgrade. Derek's knees swell when he flies economy. Do you realize what you've done? We couldn't even check in, had to downgrade and pay out of pocket. Do you know how embarrassing that was? Family is supposed to be there for each other." Family, that word again. I typed, deleted, and retyped. Then I sent a single message. "You mean like when I paid your rent for 8 months and you forgot to pay me back?" No response. Mom then called repeatedly. A torrent of everything is neglected. Then a text from Dad. "You need to grow up and stop playing victim. We had no choice. We didn't know the card would decline. You were supposed to help." "You always do." I lingered on that last line for a long time. "You were supposed to help." As if I were a family employee whose absence was considered workplace malfeasance. I didn't respond. But I wasn't finished, because they assumed this was just a phase, a tantrum, and I'd get over it, as I always did. This time, though, things were different. This time, I was enraged rather than merely emotionally affected. I was logistically, financially, and physically drained from years of maintaining a system in which I was the silent donor. So I did something they never expected. I sat down to write an invoice. $600. Outfit for Lyra's engagement, never reimbursed. $2,500, loan to Lyra and Cashin while he was unemployed. $800, Dad's MRI deductible paid out of pocket, Mom forgot to Venmo back. $420, groceries. $1,200 for 4 business class tickets to Hawaii charged without approval. $150, interest and fees on late credit payment due to the above. Total outstanding balance, $78.70. Then I sent an email to the family group chat. Subject, request for reimbursement of unlawful payments and prior support. Body, please find the accompanying breakdown of financial assistance I have provided over the last 24 months, in accordance with your philosophy that family should be there for one another. Beginning July 1, I will no longer be subsidizing family expenses. Full reimbursement is expected within 30 business days. Following that, I will file formal reports with my credit provider alleging improper use of my financial information. Moving forward, no additional financial interaction is permitted. The group conversation exploded. Lyra's reaction. Are you serious? What kind of person sends an invoice to their own family? Mom's response. This is hurtful and unnecessary, Silas. You're making things worse. My dad, we raised you better than this. That line, that was the final spark. Because the truth was, they did not raise me. I supported myself through extra shifts, unpaid debts, and acting as the safety net for everyone else's recklessness. I responded with the facts. You didn't raise me. I was overwhelmed by the imbalance in our relationship, and I let you, but not anymore. Then I blocked Lyra. I left Dad and Mom unblocked out of pure curiosity about how deep the delusion could truly go. It turned out to be profoundly deep. They appeared in person again. I observed them through the peephole. Dad seemed rigid. Mom held some papers, most likely receipts and pretexts. I opened the door. You need to talk to us, Mom continued, her voice trembling. No, I really don't, I said gently. Dad stepped forward. This stunt, freezing the credit, the invoice, it's spiteful, Silas, we're your family. And you used my name and card to buy flights, I snapped. That's not family. That was a serious breach of trust. We didn't think it'd be an issue, Mom sobbed. You always help because. You trained me to, I cut in. Since I was 22, you've treated me like a walking debit card. I helped because I was taught that saying no meant I was a bad son. But I'm done being a good son. Don't talk to your mother like that, Dad snapped. And don't talk to me like I owe you something, I shot back. I worked double shifts while Lyra and Cashin used my money to sip mimosas at Lax. I helped pay your hospital bills while you called me selfish behind my back. He stepped forward. You think this makes you strong, turning your back on family? No, I replied. But it makes me free. I shut the door in their faces. Not a slam, just a forceful, deliberate, and final close. They did not knock again. Later, Mom left me a voicemail. A silent, defeated voice. I don't know who you are anymore. And for the first time in my life, I smiled when I heard those words because I wasn't the person they used to walk all over. After I shut the door on my father's face, the silence that followed was not serene. It was surgical, precise, and absolute. There would be no more hammering on the door or guilt-laced voicemails, only a vacuum where their control once existed. Nothing. They all remained silent. I almost expected the cold shoulder to endure indefinitely. Then followed the panic. My bank sent me an email informing me that someone had attempted to use my old, frozen credit card to rent a car in Maui. Cashin, of course, I called the fraud department. They confirmed that the attempted charge matched his identification information. Would you like to press charges? They inquired. I hadn't yet, but I had them capture everything and email the report to me. Subject line, evidence in case things escalate. Later that night, I received an SMS from an unknown number. We're stranded. Are you seriously going to leave your family like this after all we've done for you? Lyra. I stared at it for a long time. What had they done for me besides take? I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshotted it and saved it in a new folder I'd created called Family Patterns I Won't Repeat. Then something genuinely unusual occurred. Marissa sent me a message on Facebook. Yes, that's Marissa, Cashin's ex-wife. We hadn't spoken for years. According to what I'd heard, she had relocated across the nation after their divorce to start anew. She was always sharper than him, a lawyer with keen intellect, ambition, and an aversion to foolishness. Her message was simple. Hey, Silas, sorry for popping in like this, but you might want to talk. I answered. This about Cashin? She sent a thumbs up and a PDF. I hesitated for a second before opening it. The contents included screenshots, money transfers, and a clear paper trail. Cashin had apparently been rerouting funds from a shared family account that Mom and Dad had granted him access to for emergencies. He had gambled again. This time using cryptocurrency, high risk, lower IQ. It became worse. The screenshots included emails from Mom pleading with Marissa not to report anything. Another from Dad, "We'll fix this. Silas doesn't have to know." They knew. They all knew. They had kept it from me because they were afraid I would cut them off before I actually did. The airplane tickets just scratched the surface. They'd been bleeding me dry to conceal Cashin's financial problems. I called Marissa immediately. She picked up on the second ring. "I wasn't sure you'd even want to talk," she told me, "but I couldn't keep watching from the sidelines. I know how they used to treat you." I wondered why she was sending this now. She paused. "Because you're finally doing what I should have done years ago, walking away, and I thought you deserved to know the truth." That night, I printed every sheet, every transfer, and every shady message. I stapled them together and placed them on my desk. And for the first time in years, I slept with the window open, a gentle breeze in my room, and no fear buzzing through my chest. The next morning, I received a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Dad. His voice was low, not harsh, but strained. "Silas, I don't know what to say. Your mother is sick with stress. Lyra's not eating. Cashin, he's not doing well. We made mistakes, sure, but you've made your point. I'm asking man to man. Can we please talk?" I scribbled one word and sent it back. "You're not entitled to grace that you never earned." I sent the invoice again, this time with Marissa's files as an annex for further evidence. I copied Aunt Linda and, just for fun, sent a redacted copy to Dad's employer's HR department anonymously. I received an alert. Dad was no longer listed on the company website. I did not celebrate. I was not angry, just detached. Meanwhile, my life blossomed. I enrolled in actual in-person therapy sessions. Every weekend, I went on lengthy walks, bought a bike, and tried new recipes. I started seeing a woman I met in the hospital cafeteria. Lyra was quiet, interested, and had no idea who my family was, so I told her. About them, about me, about the version of myself that I was ultimately creating without them. Lyra and I sat on my couch one day discussing a local hiking trail. She pointed to one and grinned. "Wanna go next weekend?" And for the first time in years, I didn't have to check my bank balance. I just replied, yes. I received one last letter, handwritten. There's no return address. I recognized the penmanship, Lyra. 5 pages of manipulation disguised as an apology. "We all make mistakes. You took it too far. Mom cries every day. You've turned your back on blood." Finally, she wrote, "We're family. Nothing changes that." And I understood she was correct. We are family. That's what makes it even worse. Strangers didn't steal from me. The folks who knew me best did it anyway. I folded the letter, placed it on top of Marissa's file, and locked both of them in a drawer. I received a birthday card in the mail the night before. Simple. No signature. Only 3 words. "I see you." It was from Marissa, and I grinned because someone finally did. It had been months since I shut the door on my past. It had been months since I stopped apologizing for saying no. Months passed until I looked in the mirror and saw a man whole and unburdened, not a walking wallet. I used to believe that closure meant they would come to me, heads bowed, tears in their eyes, offering apologies and salvation. However, it was not their responsibility to bring closure. That was mine. I ran into my mother. It was a complete accident. I was grabbing my morning espresso at a quiet downtown cafe, still half asleep, earbuds in, hoodie up, when I heard her voice. "Silas." I looked up, and there she was, smaller than I had remembered. Not simply in stature, but also in presence. As if time had diminished her. She smiled as if nothing had occurred, as if we hadn't waged a silent war with invoices. "Can we sit?" We sat. She spoke first, rambling. There were no genuine apologies, only memory revisions. "We were just trying to hold things together. We didn't realize how much you were shouldering. If we could go back, maybe we'd do some things differently." There was no mention of accountability, the fraud, or Cashin's attempt to use my credit again. No responsibility for Lyra's venom. It was just an emotional dress rehearsal, and I was meant to play the forgiving son. But I was finished with that role. Then came the inevitable. "Do you hate us now?" I did not flinch. "No," I replied. "But I don't owe you anything anymore?" She blinked. "But we're family." "That's not an argument," I said. "That's an excuse." She dug into her purse and handed me an envelope. Standing up, she expressed her hope that I would return to them eventually. I informed her quietly, I already did, to tell you I'm not coming back. After she departed, I opened the envelope. A check. $78.70. There was no note or apology, just quiet and a dollar sign. I did not cash it, not immediately. I tacked it to the wall over my work, beside a quote that transformed my life. You do not have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Lyra never responded directly again. But Marissa did. After sharing Derek's financial deceptions with me, she forwarded the identical packet of evidence to a family law attorney and the state fraud office. Cashin is currently under investigation for wire fraud and theft of family funds because, guess what? He did not simply use my card. He also took from Mom and Dad's retirement account. People had once said to me, "He's just going through a rough patch." Poetic. When I asked Marissa why she had assisted, she replied, "Because you deserve backup and I couldn't sleep knowing they'd keep bleeding you." She was no longer merely Derek's ex. She was a truth-teller with receipts. Dad quietly lost his job. According to rumors, HR began looking into the matter after receiving an anonymous package. He tried calling me once more. Voicemail. You made your point, Silas. You've embarrassed all of us, but family is not a transaction. You'll regret this. I did not respond. Because this is the truth, family is a transaction that has always been one-sided. Lyra and I were solid. She was present when I told her everything, the good, the bad, and the bank records. She did not flinch. She simply grasped my hand and said, "I'm proud of you for not letting it turn you bitter." She's the first person in my life who has never required me to earn her affection via sacrifice. We plan to move in together this fall. A new location, bigger and brighter. And no, I did not ask anyone for money. I cashed the check. Then I donated every dime to a scholarship foundation for young nurses who support their families financially while attending school. Because someone out there recognizes me from 5 years ago, breaking their back while their family pretends everything is okay. Let them know it isn't. Let them know they are not alone. So where does this leave me? Stronger, quieter, wiser. Still a son, still a brother. But it's no longer their lifeblood. I'm not carrying their weight anymore. I have my own boundaries. I carry my tranquility. And I remember the day I finally uttered this. I'm not your safety net. I'm my own person. They didn't comprehend me for that, but I adore myself because of it. So here's what I'm leaving behind. Shame, fear, and the notion that being the good one entails dying for others. And this is what I keep in my life. It's not flawless, but it is mine. And this time, I'm not sharing it with anyone who doesn't treat me like I'm important. I used to be the person they relied on. I now stand tall on my own. What about the door I closed that day? It's still closed. The key is currently in my pocket, and it is here to stay. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories. Get more experiences.